Terrorists are now claiming that one of two Japanese captives, Haruna Yukawa, has been beheaded. The news comes in the latest video reportedly released by the Islamic State. In the video, freelance journalist Kenji Goto is shown holding a photo that purportedly shows the dead body of fellow captive Yukawa.
ISIS once again upping the ante against the West. America will once again find itself dealing with a government that despises us. Russians once again remain on the move in Ukraine. And once again, it's like the good old days of spying against the Soviets. The world may be seemingly imploding, but we bring some sanity to the various moments of madness. Pleasure to welcome back to MidPoint our intelligence expert, former CIA analyst Lisa Ruth joins us here in studio. Good to see you again, and boy, have we got a lot to talk about today.
We do.
Let's get to the late breaking news here that's being discussed right now. There was a report last night that was made by Tony Shaffer, our good friend, Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, talking about the fact that Sergeant Bo Bergdahl is being charged with desertion. He broke that story last night. We talked about it earlier today. The Pentagon and the U.S. Army have now come out and they have claimed that it is patently false, that there are no charges currently that are going to be filed against Bo Bergdahl. I asked Tony, the first question I said to him was, what took so long? And I think that's what everybody is asking. Do you believe this? I mean, do you think that this is still going to go ahead, that there has to be something that's taken up here against Bergdahl sooner or later?
You would certainly think so. As you said, what's taken so long? This has been very clear from the beginning.
He deserted. He walked away from his post.
Walked away from his unit, absolutely. But there is this whole issue of precedence. The U.S. has, in fact, the president could grant him amnesty, essentially, and say no charges because he spent this time, he had hardship, he was held as a terrorist prisoner. You know, right now, the administration has not made it very clear what they're going to do. They've denied all this stuff. The U.S. Army, you would think, could act independently, but I think pressure from the White House is what this is about, really.
Does the intelligence that you're talking to tell us anything about the fact that since the swap was made for the Gitmo prisoners, has this opened up a Pandora's box of sort for people to come to the American government and say, hey, did it once, let's do it again?
Oh, it is certainly, absolutely. You know, the Huangs in Qatar, this is that couple, they were charged with negligence that led to the death of their adopted daughter. They were then cleared. But now, you know, there's these rumors that there was a prisoner swap to get them out of Qatar, and that was the Taliban guy who was released in January. We don't know if that's true or not, but I just think that once you start doing this, it's not brain surgery. There are people out there, if you and I can figure this out, there are people who are going to follow this same modus operandi. This is what's going to happen.
I'm going to just go ahead and play spy versus spy here myself for a moment. Let's just say, is it possible that Bergdahl has some sort of information? He has been debriefed already, obviously, but maybe there's intelligence involved there. Maybe the U.S. government wants to treat this slightly with kid gloves because what he's given them has been good, actionable intelligence, and they can turn it into going against the bad guys. I'm making up a good TV story thus far, but how am I doing on reality?
I like it. It's a good TV show, but it is. There's always possibilities. You don't know what kind of deals were cut. For example, like you said, if when he came back, we don't know if there was an agreement that he would provide intelligence and not to be prosecuted. We have no idea. He was certainly there. He did have access. He knew the language. He probably has the ability to provide information. We just don't know. There's that black box of intelligence. We don't know.
All right, about a minute or so left before we take a break. We let off and we showed the latest video from ISIS about two hostages. One is dead, apparently. The videos are out right now. They're saying that the second one will be killed. The Jordanian pilot will be killed in 24 hours. Why should we believe for 1 second that these killers will salvage anybody, even if they are paid a ransom?
And I think what we have to look at is Kobani. If you look at the ISIS beheadings, every single one has come after a major defeat, after they've been pushed out of somewhere. Kobani, they just lost ground there. I think that this is, there's no going back at this point. I think the fact that they were pushed out of Kobani really seals the deal. I think you're going to see them beheaded within the next 24 hours.
Let's just say that they get their $200 million. And you're already shaking your head. They'll get their $200 million, but wouldn't they want to then send one hostage back alive so they can continue to get ransom from these governments that are willing to fork it over?
You know, it's very hard to say. Keep in mind, again, much as we talk about our friend Putin, they don't play by the same rules we play by. Who knows? Because are you going to tell me that if you get the $200 million and the guy doesn't come back alive, the next time, are you really not going to negotiate?
They're going to negotiate regardless, simply because
That's
people
right.
always think that they're able to go ahead and pay for it.
This time it might work.
So don't trust them. There you go. All right, back with Lisa Ruth. We'll dive into those wonderful garden spots that make every American want to visit for sunbathing and a whole lot more. Places like Yemen, for instance, that has basically a new government that doesn't like us to begin with. That and so much more when we continue right here on MidPoint, where we question everything. Back to work on the intelligence side of matters. Former CIA analyst Lisa Ruth joins us, and we got an awful lot to get to. Let's start out. You mentioned Russia. Let's get right out there. Last weekend's attack on a port city, undoubtedly to people that they want more ground, they want to seize more of the Ukraine, they're moving the military in, no doubt.
Absolutely. The Russian separatists are back, and this is one of those things we sort of take our eye off the ball for a little bit. Ukraine, we move on to the Middle East. But they have been there. It's not that they've pulled back, but they have not been aggressive. But absolutely, we're now seeing another round of Russian separatists coming through and taking territory.
There's an Italian newspaper that says that they have video proof of USA military assistance on the ground helping the government of Kiev. They were only able to apparently see one person there that might be American. Do you believe that there's Americans on the ground there?
I do believe there's American on the ground. I am not sure, though, whether this is a unilateral situation. I think it could very well be. First of all, we have reports of mercenaries there, the U.S. mercenaries going in. So I think it could be that. It could also be someone who's part of a larger, advisory role. We know there's advisors there as well. I don't think we have actual troops on the ground. But again, this is, what does it mean, boots on the ground, wherever we're talking about? If you're not deployed in a military unit.
Two boots are boots. Last time I checked, it could just be one, but that's two boots.
Right.
One other thing, there was an arrest of a Russian spy in New York City. Spy versus spy, it seems like it's so old-fashioned anymore to have spies. But is that another thing? Take your eye off the ball. They're here, and there's still a very solid spy network working against America?
Absolutely, and I think, again, it is tempting to think, ooh, the exciting days of the Cold War are back. We PNG them, throw them out of the country, they throw out one of ours. But this is actually, again, another good reminder. Russia doesn't like us. They just don't like us. They are very intent on collecting information. In this case, he was a banker. So we're talking about financial information. We're talking about economic information. This is very, very real. And we are still a target. They will collect information against us. And we need to be a little bit more vigilant than we have been.
Back overseas, a group linked to ISIS say they are behind the assault on a Libyan hotel in Tripoli. Is this, do you think, in reality, an ISIS group? Splinter group, somebody just saying they're ISIS? What does this tell us?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Okay, good. There you go. Look at them all.
Again, looking at ISIS, one of the things that is sort of impressive, if you're looking at it from an organizational standpoint, has been their ability to spread their ideology, even to people who've never trained with ISIS. But these are militants, and I think that it would not be surprising to find that some of them have trained with ISIS. I don't think it's this top-down ISIS ordering it. But again, it's an indication of just how far this reach is. These guys are taking over. The ideology is resonating. And I think Libya, failed state. It's very, very dangerous, the fact that they are showing up there.
The Kurd militia says they pushed ISIS out of Kobani. Well, sure, for now.
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that a good way to look at it?
100%. And I think it's very tempting to go, woohoo, we've won this. We pushed them out. Keep in mind, these were ground forces. The Kurds pushed them out, combined with 720 airstrikes by the United States in this area. But ISIS will wait. This is not like World War II, where you could say, okay, now we're free of the Nazis. This is a place, ISIS will be back. They will wait until the Kurds have expanded their resources too far, till the U.S. is focused someplace else. It doesn't mean it's a defeat. I say they've been pushed out for now, but wait, it's not over.
And to that garden spot of the world, Yemen, no doubt in your mind whatsoever. Whoever gets in here, we're going to deal with a government, again, that doesn't like us, but we need them. So it's going to be one of those tenuous agreements, won't it?
And what we're seeing is the U.S. announced that, hey, we did a drone strike yesterday. We're still fighting terrorists here because we're trying to show no disruption in counterterrorism capabilities. The fact is that we're going to have to renegotiate this. We're going to have to look at this relationship again. And chances are we will not have the ability to go after terrorists the way we have under the last administration.
Very briefly, Iran sent a vow of revenge to Israel through U.S. officials. Take it seriously.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're kidding around. This is for the Iranian general that was killed in the airstrike by Israeli airstrikes in Syria. And This is a problem. These two countries, again, don't like each other, but it's ratcheting up. It's ratcheting higher and higher. The visit by Netanyahu, I think, is going to reinforce this, and we're going to have more and more tension.
Stay with us because it changes every single week. Always a pleasure to see you, Lisa. Thanks so much for coming in.
Good to be here.
All right, when we come back, one man, one moment of necessary anger. One perfect way to understand the need to never forget what happened 70 years ago today. That is telling it like it is. And it happens right here on MidPoint.